Melissa, the podcast is speeding. Okay. All right. I'm seeing the magician's hat come out. I'm seeing the wand being waved over the top.
Oh.
And the rabbit being pulled from this magician's hat. Once again, pulling your tricks over there, Melissa.
I pull no tricks.
I'll be the judge of that.
Yes.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another episode of I Already Told You That.
I actually have.
You have not.
Sure done.
No.
And you're going to feel silly in a minute, but yeah, yes.
You think I'm going to feel silly?
No, you're not going to feel silly.
I might
You
feel
shouldn't
silly.
feel silly, really. You should.
Isn't that the whole point of this podcast?
No.
The general
No.
overall arching over fact of this podcast
Do you feel this way?
is to make me feel silly.
I would really feel bad if that's how you felt about it. No.
No, it's not how I actually really feel about it, but I mean, to be fair, it's kind of fun.
To be silly?
No, to make me feel silly.
Well, I don't like doing that.
Oh,
It makes me
come
feel bad.
on.
It really isn't my objective. My objective is, if you're new to this podcast, is to play some music.
Uh-huh.
And this person sitting next to me doesn't know what we're going to be doing until he hears that music. So he's in the dark right now.
Absolute truth.
And then we re-remember an artist together that they know. They just maybe didn't know this particular record, I would say, probably as much.
Okay.
But you know this artist, and you're a fan of this artist. So this is not going to be at all obscure to you. Except this record, I think, in particular,
there was
is an unknown area, which is fun. So even in things that you might know, it's fun to find things that... But like you and I listen to different records, I think, sometimes by people.
Yeah.
So, and maybe obsessed by different things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting angle,
Yeah.
Melissa.
Yes.
I see what you're going for there.
I thought that was
I
fun.
did hint just a little teeny tiny.
Oh, you're starting to get it.
Like
Oh,
a
you might
little
have it.
minor synapse was in there.
uh-oh.
Don't get excited. No. That's not what's going on here.
So yeah, we're gonna re-remember this artist or band, and we're gonna play some music and just sit around and be silly and
Be silly.
because
And
re-remembering is fun. How are you doing, Brian Morrison?
I'm doing well.
And because this podcast is called, we didn't say it.
I said
You
it
did,
already.
You already did, and I said I
goofball.
sure did tell you. Okay, fine. I
Yes.
forget that I already told you.
I know we're a little rusty, folks. You gotta give us a break here.
Oil can, yes.
It's been we've slowed down
once a
on
month.
the production level, but yeah, it's gotten around to once a month, so that's good.
If anything, we've ramped it up.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
We went from like not putting podcasts out.
There was a huge dry spell. You're right.
But I would just say, like, thank you for those of you that reach out in small ways. It's very sweet. And
Yes.
it reminds me that people are actually listening and that I should maybe get off my keister and make another podcast episode.
Yeah.
And it's fun. And so it's nice. And I still have a long list. So it's good to remember to get back at it and make more podcasts.
And it's always fun for me in a weird way because the day of the podcast, I wish all you listeners out there could just see Melissa sort of slinking around the house, and she's a secret agent. She's just got these things on her mind, and you're like, "What's on your mind, Melissa?" She's like, "Nothing at all." And then I go to one side of the room. It's like, "What? Did you just look at something?" And you're like,
Oh my
"No."
God. Well, because when you came this morning, we were making breakfast because we do this in the morning, and I had my notebook open, my notebook that says all my secrets, and even with that open, it was not evident what I was covering. So that was good, you know.
You're looking for a level of awareness that,
You have
in a morning time.
Not in the
isn't
morning time,
quite-
maybe.
Isn't quite there.
And
dear.
also what it is too is like after I listened to this band or artist all week
Yeah.
in preparation for this, I want to listen to their music, and I've said this so many times. I'm like singing it, like I can't help it. It drives me crazy. But as I told you, I did give you a little indications of what I was up to this week. I actually was doing something completely different until about Thursday. And then I shifted gears. And I'm still going to do that person next.
What happened? Why was the gear shift?
It wasn't that I wasn't enjoying it.
Uh-huh.
It's just I thought this one should come before it.
Oh, a sequencing.
Yeah. And it probably not really, but like it was just particularly where I felt like a pull.
Your pull.
A pull. Like I was like, if I'm going to sit around on a Saturday or Sunday morning for at least an hour and talk with you, this is where I want to be this week.
Okay.
So I'm excited because no matter what happens, even if I completely fuck this up.
Wow.
Just kidding.
A complete fuck up is what's going to happen right now?
I don't think that's going to happen.
Wow.
But either way, I promise you this, listener, you will at least enjoy listening to the band.
Yes. Which is a damn good point because, at
least I hope so.
I was away on work. And, as I do podcasts listening, one will finish and then another one will start. And there was Melissa's voice in my ears with a recently re-released episode of I Already Told You That. And I listened to it and then I listened to the mix.
You did.
Which was lovely.
Which also, if you're new to this podcast, there will be a mix, not for this particular episode, but there will be most of the time a mix, unless we're covering a whole record. When we cover a whole record, I'll just put a link to that record, and you should go buy the whole record.
Yes.
And that's great. Thank you all also for that listening to the re-released episode. And just know that when we re-release an episode, we're not just being lazy or something. I've actually been going back because we have now. I think this is our 66th episode, 67th, something like that.
Wow.
And as I go back through the catalog, there's some that we did pretty early on. And some of them I don't ever want to hear again. But then there's a few that I'm like, oh, I really love this one. Like, this is like, sometimes a little bit of magic happens and it really works. And so if I'm re-releasing them, I might be doing that from time to time now that we're just doing one once a month. So it'll be 2 episodes coming out, one that's an archival one and one that's new per month.
Archival one.
Archival. I like to do. Yes.
Now we have to come up with some kind of like snappy name for these things.
Oh, speaking of snappy names, I have a little sticky note over here, Brian.
Oh, yeah? One of your classic sticky notes?
What the hell happened to Stone Cold Classics?
Oh, that's a good point.
We have things we start. And I'm sure if any of you have actually listened to this podcast at any time, you know that we come up with things and they might never be repeated. Or they're repeated 3 times and then they stop. But Stone Cold Classic was a solid thing that you would say. It's telling me that you haven't heard a Stone Cold Classic.
Oh, that can't be true.
In a very long time.
Well, for all you listeners out there who may not know, I had a fun little mental event over the summertime. And so maybe it's just left holes in the old matrix up there.
Yes.
And so I'll try to call it back, as it were. When the mood strikes, when the emotion wells.
Or you might not be able to do it again after summer's events. It might just be gone.
It could be. It's gone to the fabric of brain damage.
Which speaking of, I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell me if you know what this band is. And if you don't, I'm going to play actually a first song and come right back to it. And then I think you will know. So,
are you telling me you're giving me a second chance?
For once, I'm going to give you a second chance.
This is unprecedented.
So, but first of all, do you know who this artist is?
So there was some
I think you might.
plinks and plunks in there and like, slightly like acoustic.
I'm so excited.
No, Melissa, I don't know who that is.
Oh my God, really? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to play. This is not the way I usually do this, but why not have some fun? Because we are going to cover a whole record today, and I'm going to play most of that record because I love it so much. And there's like 23 songs on it. So
one record.
Yeah. But the first song on this record, you have heard many times.
No.
I just don't think you've heard the rest of this record.
See, that's what I'm saying.
I'm going to play the song, and then I'm going to say the name of the song title. But if I say the name of the song, you probably would know what it is.
Okay.
So are you ready? Here we go.
Wanted to prove you wrong. I've got attention to you.
Yeah. Nope.
Just a blank?
Don't have it.
Nothing?
It's gone. I will say
You're kidding again.
there is always a
you kidding?
moment, Melissa.
You must be kidding.
There's always a moment of sheer panic when it comes to like somebody's like, "Oh, well, what's this?" And I'm like, "Oh God, I might know exactly what it is, but it's just I don't know why. The wires don't connect, and I have to like seriously concentrate."
Yeah.
So of course the name Lou Barlow came to mind
yes.
easily.
That is the person singing.
Oh, what is the name of the band? So I'll let you say that part.
Really?
I know what it is. I'm just gonna let you say it.
You can say it. You can
It's
say it.
Sebadoh.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. But I knew if I started with that song, which is called "The Freed Pig," you would know who we were
Yes,
covering.
I know exactly
But
that
I would
song.
say any other song on this record, even if he was singing, you might not know.
What record is this now?
This is Sebadoh III,
Okay.
and it is their third record. But it's before they were signed to a major label.
Okay.
And well, we're going to get into this record because it came out in 1991.
Oh,
So it is part of
classic.
the 1991 canon of things that I really, really adore.
Which, in listening back to another episode, and I apologize, audience members, if I'm going to refer back to
Mm-hmm.
old episodes. I was referring back to when I was like, "Oh, it was 1991, your favorite year," and you're like, "It's not my favorite year."
Well, there's other years I like too.
Yeah, I like your
89 's
favorite
pretty good,
year
too.
musically.
89's a pretty good one.
And then you finally gave.
Yeah, because
into
I
that.
didn't necessarily like living in 1991, but yeah. But this one, like as I said, the Top Hot podcast, we both know this band.
Yes.
But I think the thing that's interesting is we both like. I think you listened to more of the later records, and for me, it was just this record. Like,
Okay.
I very much listened to this record. Bake Sale, not as much. All that
Yeah.
other. I like them now. Barble and Scrap. What is it called?
Barble and Scrap.
Right? Isn't that what it's called?
Sounds
Brumble and
great.
Scrap. Something like that.
Scrap, Brumble and
This is what we
Sotheby.
bring to you. No, but those records I just didn't listen to as much.
Yeah.
And in general, if as you're talking about the This Mortal Coil records,
Yeah.
that's what I was listening to.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a friend when I was younger who was in a band. I lived in Florida, and he was in a band called Home.
Yeah.
And I was in a band, and we would play we played around town, but they were indie rock and we were not.
Yeah.
We were very ethereal and they were very like whatever. But Brad and I were kind of friendly, and he was a sarcastic man.
Yes.
Young man. He was a young man then. And he gave me this on cassette. And I
Okay.
thought when he gave it to me, it was a mix because it just said Sebadoh III. And I was like, oh, he's making a mix. Because he knew I didn't really listen to indie rock at all. And he was like, and I think very bothered by this in particular, and was trying to get me out of my Cocteau Twins castle to be like, there's other things. And I was
There
like,
are
no,
other-
there's no other things. There's only things that are on 4AD. If it's on 4AD, I might listen to it. But no, like I was not listening to any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like it was just not like I tried to listen to Dinosaur Jr. and all that stuff. And I have to say, I prefer Sebadoh. I know that's controversial. I know it's controversial, especially in our own house, because Bryan is a huge Dinosaur Jr. fan. And
I understand.
super respect that man, but I just
Much
never
respect.
got as into it as I got into Lou Barlow's
Sure.
songwriting.
It completely makes sense to
And
me.
I think that was because this record in particular. Anyway, when he gave me this cassette, it was kind of like contraband to me or something, like because like seriously, I was not listening to anything like this, and I thought it was a mix. So for like years until like very recently, which is stupid because I could just look it up on the internet. I was always trying to figure out. I was like, where did Brad get certain songs from to put this all together? Because I always think people give you a compilation.
A mix of Sebadoh,
Yeah.
not just like a mix
No,
of
I didn't
lots
think
of
it was a
other-
mix. Actually, I don't even think I knew. And I don't remember what was on the other side, but something probably comparable. But I just really remember loving it.
Yeah.
But I was just like, oh. And then when I would hear Sebadoh records, I wouldn't hear these songs. And I'd be like, where are the songs? I got to find those songs. They were
Yeah.
so moving. And
Yeah.
he must have just handpicked the 4-tracky sounding ones that were really acoustic and kind of emotional to put on a tape for me is
Look
what I
at
thought. That's what I
that.
thought. No, it was a record. So it's a whole record, and we're going to go through it. And also,
Wow.
Brad, I think I've told you this now. He's in a band called Interpol. So
No way.
Yeah, and I haven't talked to him in years. But hey, Brad, if you're out there,
Wow.
thanks for giving me that cassette, dude. Yeah, so he totally got in, and it did work. You don't know this because we didn't see each other again after I moved away from Florida, but it worked. Thanks, Brad. So we're going to talk about this record, Bryan. And as I said, it came out in 1991.
Yes.
And It came out on Homestead Records.
Okay.
And I found this very interesting because Homestead, I was like, I don't remember that record label. And it was, it's a Long Island, New York based sub-label of Dutch East India Trading Company, which I
Okay.
do remember.
Yes.
And this is what it said on Wikipedia, which I was like, how the hell is it saying this? It says, the label was known for not paying artists and not spending any money on promotion.
Sounds great.
So I just thought that was pretty funny. So anyway,
So they
as
were
we already
literally
stated,
a label. That's it.
this band is made up of, Sebadoh started in 1986 in Northampton, Massachusetts.
Uh-huh.
And they're known for lo-fi indie rock. And also the band started because he was being more and more creatively pushed out of Dinosaur Jr. as a songwriter.
I believe that's true.
And Sebadoh III is when he left, when he was not asked back into, like when he was first pushed out of Dinosaur
Indeed.
Jr. is when he did this.
Yes.
So I think it's especially, and The Freed Pig is about Jay Mascis.
Oh.
It's
Goodness
his like,
gracious.
it is, yeah. So we're going to listen to a little bit more of that song with that in mind. You've got nothing better to do than pay too much attention. I've got nothing better to do than pay too much attention to you. I think it's one of the lyrics in that. But anyway, there's all kinds of like, angsty, not getting along
Pointed
kind of things.
statements.
So Lou Barlow, multi-instrumentalist in the band. And then there's also Eric Gaffney, who's once again, multi-instrumentalist. He plays everything, I think, but bass. And they all sing, just by the way. All three of them are singing throughout these songs you're going to hear, sometimes even lead. So, and then there's also, for this record, he just joined, but he's still in the band at this point. One of the few people that is Jason Losteen. And he joined on this album. And he also, they're all writing songs too. It's not just
And they're switching instruments and doing things like that.
yeah, and it's mostly recorded at home on 4 tracks, but it was also recorded in the studio, and the recording budget was $1,300.
Nice. It's probably a lot of money back
Yes, and I love this record so much. So let's listen to a little bit more of Freed Pig with attention to some lyrics and just the music. I love this song so much.
Self-righteous and rude. I guess I lost that cool. Tapping till I drive you insane. Self-righteous but never right. So laid back but so uptight. Destroying your patience to tolerate me. All the negative spirit I bring.
Yeah, man.
What are you going to say, Bryan?
It just sends tingles up my spine. That guitar loop or thing is fantastic.
Isn't it?
It's so good.
I just adore.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think that's really, we're going to keep listening to some
That's
more
it?
songs.
We're done? We're good with that?
Freed Pig, yeah, I think we're done with that. Yeah,
No,
we're
I
done
mean
with
the
the
whole
whole
thing.
thing. Yeah, so that was Sebadoh III.
All right.
Thanks. No.
So
of
can
course
you
not.
understand why I liked indie rock music? Because I was listening to indie rock
You
music
were.
almost exclusively. Well, in 1991, I was not. I will say that. I mean, I kind of was. Definitely Dinosaur Jr. for sure.
Well, you know what record by Dinosaur Jr. came out this year?
What came out this year?
1991.
Oh, 1991?
Yes.
Was it Bug?
No.
No, was it... I'm not going to go through and try to
Green
name...
Mind.
Yeah, there we go, that one.
Yeah. So it
Yeah, I
came
had
out.
that one.
That was the first record without Lou Barlow.
Got it.
So,
Right.
With the little girl on the
Makes
cover.
sense.
She's got a cigarette in her mouth.
Yes, and I'm going to say this is when Dinosaur Jr. is getting into like going on Lollapalooza and like starting to play these like bigger stages and things. So I can understand why you'd want to bail at that moment, or be asked to bail.
Yeah.
But good on him because he did some good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really good record.
Yeah.
So let's listen to a little bit more of it. Like I said, I'm playing a lot of this record, but not every single bit of it because that would be a little silly. But quite a bit. So this song is called Total Peace.
so good at those like rambling guitar hooky things.
Well, all
that are
three of them. Yeah.
so enjoyable to
Isn't
listen
it
to.
nice?
Yes.
So that's what I want to ask. Did you listen to this record at all? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I have in since times. So, I mean,
So
91.
some of this you're recognizing?
Yeah, but not until like college, and I was around other people. So, thankfully, I was lucky enough to land in a group of friends who all had very good taste in music, and
still do,
and are some of our world's best music people, listeners, and recommenders. And many of them also worked at the college radio station. So just by osmosis, I was able to take in things like this. And I knew what it was, but again, I didn't always know how to like do it, like how to like go buy the right CD or something like that. It just seemed so complicated, even though it wasn't.
Yeah. And for you younger folks who are listening, college radio stations were very, very much a big deal as far as like in the 90s and 80s and 70s, I would even say, like as far as influencing like different kinds of like presenting different music.
It's
music
where
that was
this
not,
kind of music was living
Yes.
back in the day.
That's why they call it college radio.
That's right.
As a genre sometimes, which I find strange.
Or college rock.
Because there's a lot of things that can be played on college radio.
It's true.
Like, but that's also what was great about it is that you were exposed to so many different types of things, you know, like, and I definitely, even though I wasn't super into indie rock at the time, I listened to it on the college radio station, not community radio station where I lived. So yeah, I think it can be very...
Yeah, so I will say that I don't know. I mean, one way or another, I probably listened all the way through it, probably through friends and my brothers as well. But I obviously don't own this, or we don't own it, other than maybe that tape is in some.
No, I have. I was trying to find it.
Yeah,
it's pretty worn. I listened to it a lot. So
and I want to say I probably made a tape copy of it or one of these other Sebadoh records I didn't have.
Yeah.
And listen to them in my car because that's where I listen to tapes.
That's the best place.
Yes.
Listen to a little bit more of Total Peace.
Much too smart to sound uptight, not to cheat what I deserve. Nothing hidden, nothing wasted. So far from dead, frustrated. Too smart to ask for more. This is all I've waited for. Nothing hidden, nothing wasted. Nothing past the love I've tasted.
I love this song, but do you not hear "I'm a lot like you"? Dad? Like it's just like that melody is so right there. You know, it's Cats in the Cradle, the silver spoon.
That's so funny.
It's like it is like the solo even. It's exactly that.
It is definitely the same like voice timbre.
Yeah. Although I would say I like this better. The other thing I like about the lo-fi 4-track part of this is, you know, I had a 4-track and I played around with it all the time. And this album made me think, oh, you can really,
possible.
you can totally do that. And I love that, as I've stated many times, I like noise and I love that things are clipping and I love that things are imperfect.
Yeah.
I adore when things aren't exactly the way they're supposed to be. I don't like it to be so sterilized that you've taken out any human.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's very much a human
Like this
imprint.
podcast, Melissa.
No, but there's like a very much a human imprint on it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you feel the emotion of it. You can feel intimacy like from this
Yeah,
record. I feel like
very
that's
much.
what I like about it as much as I feel very intimately in someone's head and in like their heart, Brian. You can feel it,
my
you know? You can feel it
gosh.
all around you.
The emotions.
I know. Let's listen to another song. This one is called Violet Execution.
All I need to do is fall into the world. Seduced by apparition, lost spell.
Like
Got
that.
a little little violent femmes.
Like that's not Lou Barlow singing. See?
Oh, it's
There's
somebody else in
different
the
people singing. You can tell there.
band.
I thought you would notice that one is a different vocal.
A different voice,
that's a
for
different
sure.
vocalist. I don't know if it's Eric or if it's Jason, but it's one of them. Also, I want to play. Like, it's funny. You could play the game of is it in the studio or is it 4-track? That one seems like it's in the studio. Freed
Yeah, a little
Pig
bit.
seems like it's in the studio. Freed Pig for sure.
Yeah.
The first song.
Yeah.
But
So they went back and forth,
yes,
is what you're saying.
you can feel it, but
Yeah.
most of it's 4-track. I also think this album, it has a lot of slowness and prettiness, but then there's some like loud cacophonies of, emotion and screaming and great things too.
Yes.
So it won't always be that
Are
way.
we going to hear one of those?
Sooner or later, yes.
I see.
Yes. This song is called Scar for Eyes.
Scar for Eyes.
Sky for Eyes.
Sky for Eyes.
Scars for Eyes.
Scars for Eyes.
Yes.
Wow, that's a long title, those three together.
It's scars, for eyes. Like being teased kind of thing is what I kind of take it as, because 4
Not
eyes
skies
was
for eyes? Scars, skies.
scars, for eyes.
Trailing on next to sick, only broken magic sticks. Evil pit is never snare. Figured out how to get nowhere. Flying lead filled flapping gills.
Now, when you say 4-track, Melissa, we're talking about a little machine
Yeah, you want to explain for it?
that you put a tape into.
Yes.
Because this would be before the times of
Tascam, quite often.
real computer
Yes.
recording abilities.
Yes.
And so you put a tape cassette in this thing made
Magnets.
by Tascam. Tascam made a lot of them. Fostex.
How do
There was
they
also,
work?
They were another.
Oh, yeah, I had a Fostex.
Yeah.
I think I did have a Fostex
I
first.
think you had a Fostex more than you had a Tascam.
I just wanted a Tascam.
Or the
It's like a
studio.
skateboard, like we talked about in the other episode too.
Yeah, that's right. So it was a way, again, not to over-explain this to people, because most people listening to this probably know what a 4-track is, but it was a way to record at home when recording music was still pretty expensive, because you had to go into a
They
studio.
made it where everyone can do it, just like how now
Yeah.
YouTube and all these other things have made it where people can just, or GarageBand has made it where people can
Or
just go on.
Simple recording equipment can let two
This thing
idiots
right in
make
front
a
of us that we're
podcast.
using. Yeah. The Zoom thing. What's that called? What's that thing
It
called?
is. It's an H6 Zoom
Yeah.
for all you podcasters out there. You want to get in the weeds?
No.
It's a handy little device.
Yes, but you can.
But
We bought
in-
that to
in
record
essence,
music with, which is
yeah.
funny, and then we haven't used it for that.
This thing is like the modern version of it, of course. But back in the day, you had a tape cassette. So you had to get a good tape and put it in there, and it would just split the tape into 4 separate tracks so that you could record things independently and hopefully not blend them together too
Or
much.
you could just use a regular stereo,
Yep.
and you got the best hiss of your life. And I think that could usually just be two. I think you could only do 2.
You can only do 2, but you could, whatever you recorded, you can bounce that track,
Yeah.
Melissa, where you could take what you recorded and record it to another track and then re-record over the other stuff
I was
you
a
did.
big fan of this. I had this stereo kind of recording first before the 4-track.
Yes.
You have to. I think it's got to go in that order.
Yes.
I'm
So
sure
it is remarkable to hear recorded music that was put out and still very listenable and enjoyable to be recorded that way, but it also has a really distinctive sound to it. So I
Yeah.
think I'm just trying to figure out, like,
Yeah.
what would draw you to it.
No, I think
and
that's exactly
that's
what drew me to it
is.
was that distinctive sound. Yeah. Let's as we talked about songs, we'll get louder, and that same song we were just listening to does. So let's listen to a little bit more of "Scars for Eyes."
Simple, plain, simple, stars for eyes. Eager and overripe, stung and tied. Weakened by a mighty blow, scars for eyes. Living pill, stupid man, whose tongue is tied.
Okay. Also,
It's a little-
songs like that remind me of Ween.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but this
That's
is
a little
before
Weenish.
Ween. This is
Yeah.
pre-Ween, but still.
It also feels very like Dungeons and Dragons-ish. The way that is, with that like phaser going on the guitar. It's a little,
Love it. I love it, love it, love it. Speaking of loving something.
Oh.
This is the first two-harder of the podcast. I was going to start our show with it, but he sings pretty early on, and I didn't want to give it away too easily to you. You should know this one, too.
Okay.
It's a beautiful... This is probably when I was listening to this, besides Free Pig immediately grabbing me,
Yep.
this one grabbed me hook, line, and sinker. This is called Truly Great Thing.
1, 2. Make it easy and I'll hold it against you. I'm on a string dangling right in front of you. Make it hard and I'll run away. Keep tomorrow as I kill today. Trying to figure just what I deserve. Slashing lines all across the earth. Patience only makes the dream come true. Everything I see I hold to you.
I don't think I've ever heard that song.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
What is that percussive thing that they're doing in the background? Do you know what that is? That boom.
Sounds like someone kicking a box.
I love it. I love it.
I'm
and
sure
also,
it's...
I know we've talked about this before,
Or
Bryan,
somebody stomping their foot,
but
perhaps.
I like lyrics, and I like the lyrics to this song.
You do.
And I think it's very vulnerable and just beautiful. So freaking
A
beautiful.
bit of a poet,
It's
old Lou
just-
Barlow, isn't
It's
he?
very sensitive and
Yes.
gorgeous, and I was not expecting it. So I was like, I can relate to this. I'm used to this sort of thing.
This is your entrance
This
drug
is my wheelhouse
into
of things,
the world of indie rock.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense that this would be my gateway. And also,
It makes perfect sense.
not only did it get me into that sort of thing, this record still remains like a very exalted one for me. So let's go a little bit further into Truly Great Thing
Okay.
to see what makes it a truly great thing.
If you're locked up tight, the dream of perfection, nothing ever seems right. All the world will tell you you're all wrong. You're a big deal if you're wrong. This is it, the truly great thing, the love you've hoped to find. And any doubt will simply wipe itself out, rising deeper the first and last time.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. Also, it makes sense too, because at the time, I'm just putting this together now, I was probably my favorite song in that time period would have been All We Ever Wanted Was Everything by Bauhaus.
Oh, yeah.
Similar vibes.
Similar vibes.
Similar vibes.
Is that what it does, though, for the rest of the song? Does it do anything else?
Oh, it's just like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I ever heard that song.
Great.
And
We're
I
gonna-
can see why maybe on my wavelength, it would have been like, oh, yeah, this is good.
That's what I'm saying.
This is good.
Yeah, it would be much more of like you got to pay attention to it kind of record.
Like the first one, what's it called? The Pig?
The Freed Pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could resurrect Stone Cold Classic for that one. I could do it.
But
I could do it. I was going to try it on this one.
just because I gave it hearts, you felt heart pressure.
And I was like, oh, I bet I know this one. And then you played it. And I'm like,
It's okay. I don't know that one. You don't have to give it things. This one was the one we started with, but we're going to listen to a little bit more of it. This one's called Kath.
Kath.
Yeah,
Like Kathy.
I imagine. Kath.
Kathy was a big,
You're talking about
was
cartoon
big in the
Kathy?
comic
I don't
comic
think-
page.
You think that's who they're referring
I
to?
think he's a big
Kathy?
fan of Kathy.
Okay, let's listen to Kath.
Ack! She used to say that all the time.
listen to a little bit more of that. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
And also, just for those keeping track of hearts, there's a heart next to this one, too.
I would hope so.
And this next section has a heart just for this section. Because that's how much I love it.
Sectional heart.
Sectional heart. Let's go right about now.
All too right. Righteous coward, chicken head waiting for a storm in paradise. Push, whine, push, to gripe to hurt me. We killed the jealous, we killed the judgment right. I'm so glad the wait is through. I'm so glad I waited for you.
Also, I just like that idea that someone was like, I'm glad I waited for you. And as a romantic, teenager, I was very much into that idea that there was someone out there in the world who was waiting to meet me, maybe.
That is very
but I had
sweet.
not quite yet met them. So, yeah, it was very...
So I think this song kind of illustrates the, I don't want to say age-old conversation we've had about
yes.
our music tastings, because it's always curious
Yeah.
to figure out what draws you to a song as opposed to what draws me to a song.
Which is funny because when I play something that I say that about, I can see you when you don't necessarily understand it because I'm looking over at you and you're going, this is a double harder? Like, what way?
No, I like that
Okay,
song.
yeah.
I like that song, and I like it a little bit more than the previous one,
Yeah.
even though they seem to
'Cause
have
there's
kind of
more to it.
similar vibe.
They very
No.
much
What
is it? What is it?
I think what it is the guitar, Melissa. And even though I'm a person of the more kind of percussion, there is a very rhythmic aspect to that guitar.
I think the whole
and
way
it's like that kind of stuff just makes me bonkers. Like I love it so much.
Yeah.
And when I think about the music that I really love, they always have like a particular guitar part. Obviously, guitar hooks, like all of his are so good.
hooky.
And they're always like very bright and like
Yes.
on the high notes. And he's kind of just going up and down the neck, which also makes it sound easy. Like you could pick up a guitar and
feel like
play that.
Primarily bass players that then play guitar have that kind
They
of
do that
thing.
kind of thing, that sort of
They
just
got the
walking up
hooks.
and down situation.
Yeah.
As opposed to keyboards.
But yeah. I'm not as much of a keyboard person.
What are you talking about? Are you kidding me right now?
I like keyboards, yeah, but like
But so much of the music that you liked, when you would bring it to me, that was the one thing where I'm like,
no, I don't think so. I mean, like, yeah, 80s, sure.
but there is guitars. So in shoegaze, clearly there's guitars.
Yes, there are.
But they're like this,
Lovely, great, yes.
which is great
And
in
also
its
in
own
Dinosaur
right.
Jr., they're like this.
Yeah, but he does
And know what he
guitar
likes?
solos.
My Bloody
He does
Valentine.
like he does. Okay, so maybe I don't. Excuse me.
No, you can.
Shoegazers of the world. I know I just stepped a toe into your
Oh, don't, they're not
and
bothered.
they're gonna chop off my
It'll
foot.
be fine.
But also just keyboards, though I do love them. Obviously, a Depeche Mode is fantastic. But I just feel like my entry into this world of alternative or other music has always been very guitar driven and connected for me. And so if there's any crisscross, I'm feeling like, but why you were drawn to Sebadoh for like the emotional lyric side of it, I was drawn to
sound.
it. And the sound, yeah. But I was drawn to it as well. Like I do like his voice. It also reminds me, at the same time I was listening to like Beck, One Foot in the Grave, where he was with Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
And it was very lo-fi. You know, again, they were doing things on 4-track. And it was a lot of that, like acoustic guitar and foot stomps and stuff like that. So I like the sound of it for sure. But I know it is like those guitar licks just like, they do it for me for sure.
They do it for you.
Yep.
I think what really got me on all of this, like I keep saying, is the melodies and like not just the melodies, but the way it sounds, especially more the 4-track stuff. I am much more interested in the 4-track stuff on this record, probably than the studio stuff. I don't know why, it just always got me. And also, like, I was still a fledgling guitar player in these time periods, and my downstrumming very much comes from listening to things like this.
Yeah.
It's so downstrummy that like I'm just like I still can't get out of it. And I like the way that sounds. I like the way, like, I'm not much of an acoustic player, but I think part of it was because of this record that I would do that, because I liked the way it sounded to play fast and kind of hard on an acoustic guitar where you could hear the pick hitting and like it made it a noise that was more interesting than just if someone's trying to play like a pretty guitar kind of, you know, melody kind of thing. So anyway, I'm a fan. Speaking of, let's listen to this next song, which also has a heart. The whole album has a heart, but this song I love too. This one's called...
Well, we can say by default...
Nope, not all of them.
When you do a podcast, the podcast is just one big heart to the whole thing.
It is.
And now these are internal hearts.
These are internal hearts. This one is called Perverted World.
It's no drama or a hurting kind of love that never gives. I've got a sister with an open mind and the sweetest urge. Whisper fight, tucks a bed for me. Warmth rising to share with me. Not damaged, a restless love, or just wasting time.
Definitely some strumminess going on right there.
There's some strumminess, isn't there?
Jing, 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 jing.
And we're just going to go right the heck back up on that because we're going to listen to one more part of the song when he gets into it in Perverted World.
The wait has been satisfied. I'm not jerking to lose my mind again. I'm not smart enough to fake it. No fool could fake a feeling this good. Come on, girl, let's walk through this perverted world.
I don't know what that stuff is, but I love it. All the clickety-clackety, clack, clack, clack.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the clickety, clackety, clackety, clack?
It's not bad.
And the timing really speeding up.
Yeah.
Like it goes from like to like fast.
Yeah.
That people can't see that hand gesture I'm making.
The really, yeah, those kinds of songs require more like of lyrics, I think.
Really?
But it's not a
The
bad
melody?
song. Yeah, the melody's nice.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I love that melody, but I understand. We can't.
It's not that I don't like it.
It's okay. I think you don't like it. No, I'm just joking.
And now I'm realizing, like, maybe when I heard this was that somebody else would have put this on a mix for me. Definitely the first song, because I know that one for
also,
sure.
that one gets played a lot, was played a lot on college radio.
Yeah.
And you would have heard it. You definitely would have heard it. Maybe not this one that I'm playing next. This song is called Limb by Limb.
Plowing through a violent landscape. Send the light, oh devil bright. Crisp until you break. Well, I guess I'll go into it. You could not mystify. Limb by limb, I'll do you in. I, the serpent, hypnotize. Haunted dreams of locust beats. To expand is to slay. A tunnel to infinity.
Obviously love that drum part.
Yes.
That's great. I feel like he's back in his Dungeons and Dragons era.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, are you back in the Dungeons and Dragons era? Oh, my God.
Feeding it limb by limb into the dragon's mouth.
It could be. And I didn't really talk about it as much, but this was recorded at a studio as well, which it was recorded at Fort Apache Studios. Have you
Oh,
heard of
yeah,
that?
that's a big one, yeah.
Yeah, and do you know who co-founded that? Who also produced this record?
Well, I know Dinosaur Jr. did a lot of recording there.
Yes.
And then didn't the Pixies record there?
Trump Lamond, I think.
Yeah.
And the Lemonheads and whole. Actually, I don't know if they recorded there. I'm talking about the producer. The producer is Sean Slade, who's also the co-founder of that studio.
Okay.
And Sean Slade produced Pablo Honey, co-produced it with somebody else. I can't remember who else did it, by Radiohead. It was their first record.
Yes.
And they were instrumental in convincing EMI to put out Creep as the single because it wasn't doing well. And they were like, put this song out.
Yeah.
Do this. And also they co-produced Holes Live Through This. Sean Slade did, which is one of my, I love that record. And it might be on the list at some point to be doing. But anyway, big deal. And
that's in like Boston area, right?
And it was
Fort
recorded
Apache.
just in 2 weeks in the studio. The rest of it was 4 tracks.
Well, they only had $1,300, so you weren't getting too far with that.
I'm amazed you could get anywhere. How are you buying the tape?
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty.
seriously.
Cause,
That's probably about it, really.
Yeah, I mean, that was just like a favor. I don't know. It was
Kinda.
like, sorry about that happening to you. So let's.
You got 10 minutes. Let's go.
So there are some songs that I'm skipping on this record. One song that didn't really appeal to me as much as because I wasn't like a huge weed smoker, which this record reeks of. Sorry, Sebadoh. Is the song called "Smoke a Bowl." It starts off like, I think with like you can hear like people doing, which is fine. It's totally fine. It just didn't click with me as much, you know.
Yeah.
But enjoy that song. You'll listen to it later because we're going to play this whole record. And like I said, listen to the whole dang record. Definitely do it. But this song is called "Black Haired Girl."
Still thin. My mind is blank, so fill me in. What kind of trouble I got myself in?
Going into their country area.
Well, also what they talk about too on some of the things I read is just that, you know, they were just experimenting. They were doing all different styles of music. There was no like off limitsiness to that. Like you could just, you know, be creative.
Sure.
Outlet. Do it. So I like when records do that. I don't mind at all.
That's fun.
In fact, I think I've put that song on mixes before just because I knew that no one would know it was a Sebadoh song and they would think that I liked country music, and I thought that was kind of fun. There are 23 songs on this record, but we're not going to play all of them. And then in 2006, it was reissued because at first it was on Homestead Records, like I said, which you know doesn't spend money on promotion and doesn't pay its
doesn't
artists.
exist.
But then it was re-released because, you know, Sebadoh was eventually signed to Sub Pop.
Right.
But I don't think Sub Pop put it back out, but someone did anyway. And it had 18 additional tracks.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, there's a lot. But when your songs are 2 minutes, which is around how long, just I haven't mentioned that. Usually it's 2 minutes.
And more importantly, when you're smoking bowls,
Allegedly.
songs could probably just come out of nowhere.
Or if you're good at it.
Yeah.
I don't think just like you can smoke weed and nothing good can happen. In fact, I've heard some of those recordings.
Well, we wonder what those
I
other
know
18...
some people when I was younger who would do that and be like, you gotta check this out. I'm like, no, like it did not enhance it. I also remember, I think we've talked about this. I felt like there were bands that you had to smoke weed to like. And I think the Grateful Dead was one of those to me.
Hey!
I was like, otherwise I don't see how it's interesting.
We love you, Grateful Dead listeners.
I don't think
they're all switching
I
off
think we're
the
okay.
podcast.
I think we're safe to say that. I think we're totally safe. We're in a safe zone. But let's listen to Hoppin' Up and Down.
Hopping up and down, smiling at the ground. I don't like no one around here. Everywhere wandering eyes stab me through paranoia.
What are you going to say, Bryan?
Gosh, I wonder who they're trying to sound like, make fun of.
Although, just so you know, Nevermind did not come out until September of 1991.
Yeah.
So this came out
This
before.
proceeded.
But Bleach had come out. And,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah. But also, I don't think it's just Nirvana. I think Alice in Chains, like all the grungy things. I think they're just doing the grungy singing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's sing. Or maybe he wants to sing
he
that
sounds exactly like Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, he does.
When he's singing like
yes,
that.
Yes, he does, allegedly.
But he's saying jumping up and down. Is he like kind of
Jumping.
poking fun a little bit, you
Maybe.
think?
Maybe.
You know?
Maybe. But I had
Because
said
I'm
that
sure
on there.
even within the underground circles, I'm sure Bleach was getting lots of attention.
Oh,
so.
yeah. I mean, I knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone loved that record
Yeah.
that I knew of. They were talking about it all the dang time.
So
Like, that's the thing is, people always think that Nirvana, like, if you're, younger, they think like it didn't really happen till then. It was totally happening.
They were happening.
Yeah, people were very excited and into Nirvana. It wasn't a sudden thing.
So he could be poking a little fun at old.
Perhaps, or I think just in general, like I find that to be parody-ish, but or maybe they sincerely wanted to sound just like that.
They did a good job.
It could be. This song, Bryan, is called "Supernatural Force."
She's lost her mind for good this time. Every thought's dragged around with a weight behind. She sees herself in need of repair. Maybe someone will help her lay her soul down bare.
So that's probably one of the other members of the band, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
But also, it would just be very jarring to me when I was listening to this record because you would be like in melody land and then you get into some other things, which this song does. Let's listen to a
noise
little bit
crunch.
more of Supernatural Force.
Doesn't mind being stalked. Tension dissolves. She's taking off her socks. Draws in the sky. Doesn't mind me at all. Curls up and
It's funny to me as I'm looking at the, as I'm playing the music and as I'm looking at YouTube music that's showing me the album, it says 2006, which is the reissue, I'm assuming, and it says 41 songs, 1 hour and 55 minutes. 41 songs in an hour and 55 minutes.
Yeah.
That is very fast
Yeah. Hour and 55?
Yeah.
Okay.
for 40. So let's do the division.
Oh, no.
Just kidding.
I was trying and it just ground
For
to a
those of you
halt.
out there that could do that
Yeah.
math, that's quick.
You
I'm
can
trying to
figure
say.
it
It's
out,
pretty
yeah.
fast. So you know what? We did this last time. And do you know what the number one song was in August of 1991 in U.S. radio stations?
Probably like Journey or
1991.
1991. Yeah, I guess I'm a little late for that. Aerosmith, Pump.
It was Bryan Adams' "Everything I Do, I Do It For You," which was from the Robin Hood soundtrack with Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner's Robin Hood.
Playing
That's
Robin
right.
and the woman from The Abyss. I think she was like, which I loved her.
Oh, yeah, she's good. Catherine. Speaking of Catherines,
I don't know if her name was Catherine. I don't know
Not
what
a
her name is.
Catherine.
I don't remember her name. I just remember her really curly hair, and she was great in The Abyss. But
speaking of Costner,
Oh.
we just saw him.
Oh
we
my
had a
gosh.
close encounter with
gosh.
Kevin and Costner.
yeah, it was weird.
Not too long ago.
We were at the Venice Film Festival.
Yes.
Here in Italy. And someone famous shows up when like people just start running, because when you look at that, if you've ever like seen photos from that festival, you think that they're in Venice proper, and they're not. They're on this little island right outside of Venice, and you can't really drive in the section where it is, and it's a really small area where like these famous people show up and walk the red carpet or whatever, but like you can't have a car. So if you see a car pull up, they immediately know it's someone, so they just start running. It looked like zombies. Like they were just like full, like fast as they could,
Sprinting.
running towards
with
him.
their arms down at their sides.
And it was weird because I was on a bicycle and you were behind me, and I was like, it's Kevin Costner. Like I probably like yelled it, like where he could probably hear it. And I was like, no big deal. I'm kind of like, just keep going. I think I said to you, I thought it was an out of shape Daniel Craig.
Oh,
which I felt bad about.
Sorry about
But
that,
yeah,
Costner.
I don't think he's listening either. It's fine. We're okay.
You're probably right.
But
so
I did-
at that time,
Yeah.
he was playing Robin Hood.
He was.
And Bryan Adams
Yes.
was singing a ballad
Yes.
that went on
He
to
was
be number
doing
one.
everything he could do for you.
Meanwhile, old Lou Barlow
Yes.
has got the 4-track
Yes.
in the basement somewhere.
You know, and PG Harvey's coming out with Rid of Me.
Oh.
You know, like, but anyway, you know,
Goodness.
it's a good juxtaposition to keep in mind.
Just to know what's going on
I
with
think
the
it's
rest of
fun.
the
I think
world.
that's something I'm going to keep doing because I enjoy. But the months right before that, in July, it was Right Here, Right Now by Jesus Jones.
Oh, that's a big
They
one.
pretty much dominated all of June and July with that situation.
They
That was a
broke
good song.
through to the big charts.
They did. They
Yeah,
did.
that was a big
That was
radio
a huge
hit.
one. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, that was something else to keep in mind.
Ba-bum.
Okay, this song is called Tao Mind.
I feed on you, you feed on me. When we agree, it's good to evil. When you act frightened, I'll make you feel stupid. Cause nothing's more stupid than thinking I'm evil. But if you smile, then I'll smile too. There's nothing better to do. I'm just me, listen to me. All American original. Get down in the mind. Don't say I don't see.
And this is why there's 45 songs on this.
Well, it's funny that we also talking about this because Magnetic Fields just finished the European tour of them doing 69 love songs. And I didn't realize they're playing every song. They're doing 2 nights each place.
Goodness gracious.
Every single song.
Wow.
And I saw that tour, and you saw that tour, didn't you?
I don't think I did.
Okay, I did. But it's pretty crazy to me that they're doing that and amazing. But it
Yeah.
makes me think like, yeah, you can do it. You can totally do it.
But there's very few of those 69 love songs that verge on unlistenable.
Oh, yes, there is.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, I love that record, but there's ones
Yeah.
that I'm like, oh, I don't want to hear that
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I do think sometimes editing could be a thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
then
yeah.
you wouldn't get the full span of it.
That's true.
You know,
That's
I
true.
will say, even when I had the cassette, I couldn't fast forward through it. I
Right.
just kind of
She
listened.
just kind of sat through it.
It was a long play cassette. On one side, this whole record was on it.
Huh.
So there you go. But it wasn't that long because it wasn't the reissue. It was
60-minute
41
tape.
songs. It was 23 songs, which would be probably an hour.
Yeah,
So,
right.
Anyway, we're almost to the end of this record, Brian, which
Okay.
I'm going to be sad about when it's over.
Yeah, why?
But then I'm going to be excited because we can go into our living room or wherever we're going to go after this, and we can listen to the whole record.
Nice.
Which is way more fun. This song is called God Told Me.
This land is very small. Buildings grow and people crawl. America's the greatest way. I'm counting stars and counting days. I know it's true. 'Cause God told me to tell it to you. I know it's true. God told me to tell this to you.
There you go.
And also,
Mixing it right back up again.
originally when I was doing this, I probably would have just played you all just the 4-tracky acoustic-y songs because those are the ones, let me be honest, I love. But I think it's good to hear a little bit more of what the whole record sounds like.
Sure.
So that's why I'm...
And I'm glad you said that because I was going to ask you what drove you to pick these particular songs.
Because I wanted to give you like more of a real idea. Because if I just played it with just the songs I love, it wouldn't be the same record. And that doesn't mean I don't like the record. Like I like that there's things that, you know, aren't necessarily the things that I would associate with as much, but I
Yeah.
still enjoy it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's all together in a album, which is what's so great about records is that it can bring you through things that maybe you wouldn't necessarily like as much, but as a whole work, you enjoy.
A bigger,
You know
but
what I mean?
I can also see why you would think that this was a mix of their
Yes,
music.
would you not see? Like, thank you. It makes a complete sense, right?
And in a way, it kind of is because they're recording all over the place. So, I mean,
yeah.
maybe that's how they sort of meant it. Who
Yeah,
knows?
it kind of does feel that way. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know. I can't get into their brains, but
Right.
it did feel like that to me too. Like you can understand why I felt that way.
Sure.
And for you, like what I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you do remember, what Sebadoh record do you like?
Bake
as much?
Sale.
You said Bake Sale.
Yeah, Bake Sale was the one that I bought, and that was the one that I recognized. But again,
I have to listen to both too.
I've talked about this before, is my process was sort of knowing the name of a band and then getting the courage to go into a record store and then have enough money to buy something,
Which is a thing on its
fearing,
own.
fearing that I was always buying the wrong one, So
Did
I
that
just
happen to you where you did buy the wrong one or something?
no, I just felt like I was buying the wrong one. Like I can remember distinctly buying an OK Computer at the record store and being like,
Not
gosh,
the wrong one.
Right. But thinking like, I hope this is the right one.
Pablo
and then-
Honey might have been the wrong one.
Exactly. But of course I was rewarded with that one. But I can also remember going into record stores and trying to talk to the record store people about bands and them being record store people and not being super helpful, or like if you didn't know enough, so I was always not wanting to talk to them and then just kind of like perusing the things. So when I bought Bake Sale, it was probably used was another thing that helped, so
The musicians.
that's right. That's right.
Why did it help? Just because you felt like
'Cause it was
lower
cheaper.
stakes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I think I bought that one just knowing the band name and be like, oh, I like these guys. I'll buy this one. Of course, it's great. And I love it
Yeah.
immensely.
It's like,
But I haven't bought any of the other ones.
No, I think you have. I think
Yeah,
you have
you're right.
two.
I do have another one.
I think
I
you
have one
two.
other one.
I
Yeah.
like two. But this song is called "Spoiled," and if anyone saw the movie Kids back in the day,
Oh, yeah.
it was played in the credits part of the movie
Okay.
at the very end. But I think it's a really great song too. It's not the way the record ends, but it's the second to last song, and I like it.
Okay.
So we're gonna listen to a little bit of "Spoiled."
Spoiled children soon to fall. Freedom is the lie we live. We will wait for tragedy and scatter helpless to the fire. Sorry for ourselves. Sorry for the things we've seen. No one cries for help.
And the thing that song is going to do, which I think is really great, is it's in that 4-track lo-fi situation. But I feel like this one is about to merge
Oh,
in a really beautiful melodic way
okay.
with some things. So let's listen to a little bit more of "Spoiled." And this section is a harder.
All these empty urges must be satisfied. Acting outside, precious strength to turn the game to history. Giving up unknown way. He said all I had to say. The final days have come and gone. Safe inside is nothing wrong. Nothing in these words.
Little bit of a like
Strings.
string.
A little bit of,
Keyboard
what was the
situation.
producer from that I'm forgetting the name, from the Beatles that had all the strings happening all the time?
Brian Epstein.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was their first kind of producer person.
And also just this whole thing feels very like, has touches of the Garfunkel and Simons and all that kind of stuff for me. It has
Okay.
that kind of moodiness, but not the perfection that would occur. of course.
Melodic, yeah.
But like, yeah, I just really, I enjoy the downstrummy beauty of Sebadoh III. And I can't wait to listen to it more with you.
Yes.
You know?
Wow, Melissa.
Yeah.
You brought the indie rock into that I already told you that verse.
I think I have before, right? I think I have.
Sorta.
Yes. Maybe.
Sorta, kinda.
It's been in there a little.
Not as overtly as this.
Hey.
My goodness.
It's all over the place. And also,
got it right in there.
You got to get it in there. It has to happen.
Very good. Well, you've done it again, Melissa. You have brought us a band that is most certainly worth listening to.
That you most certainly know.
And I most... What are you going to take us out on
I just want
here?
to listen to a bit more of that song.
Okay.
Which is called Spoiled.
Thanks, everybody. We will see you again soon.
See you soon.